Hi guys, I'm going to be going over some information that you may or may have not heard regarding end times prophecy, and also I definitely will be putting it together in a way that you haven't heard as well. If you could just pay attention, because there's going to be some clips and some writing on the screen as well, because some things I can't explain and will need to be shown. Making this video to talk about um, synchronicity, fallen angel numbers, numerology, the end of time, um, frequency programming, prophecy, AI, 2020, 2012, and 1111. Okay, so guys, you might be wondering what all those different things have in common, but I've just been noticing a few things and I just wanted to share it with people. Um, so basically, what's happened with me is that I had a spiritual awakening, and after I had the spiritual awakening, I started to see um, synchronicities. So I started to have synchronicities, like bumping into people, anything I'd speak about, it would be relayed to me. Anything I would think about, it would just sort of manifest in my life, either directly with me or with somebody I know, or I'll just hear about it somewhere else. And at first, I thought like this was really positive because I had my spiritual awakening and everything. And, I was listening to a lot of new age stuff at that time, once I had a spiritual awakening. And, a lot of it was sort of mentioning about synchronicity as well. So I pretty much thought it was a good thing. I then started to see certain numbers. So at this point, it was a range of different numbers I was seeing. So this was, I was seeing 1111, I was seeing 911. I would see a lot of numbers also ending in 22. Okay, so then as I said, I just thought positive about it. And then it got to the stage where I feel like I was given a choice. So I could either continue in my new age dream that everything is, brilliant and I can manifest whatever I want, which at that time I was, kind of doing the law of attraction stuff and like really focusing on manifesting things. And the things that I was trying to manifest, they were everything that I was manifesting was just happening like almost instantly. And I feel like at that point I was supposed to well, the entities that are behind my targeting and stuff, I believe they wanted me to go down that particular path. Um, and then just, maybe just have a life where I feel like if I had gone down that path, I would have been a lot more financially abundant than I am now. Um, like things would have been easier, I'll put it that way, because of I don't feel like the targeting would have become overt, even though I realised that it was like happening before. But I don't think that it would have got to where it got to now had I not, decided to just obviously see the truth, which I could always see, which is that no, there's something else is going on here, a lot bigger, and that this world has serious problems and it's really evil and satanic. Okay, so then obviously when I did realize that and just realize that I couldn't put that to the back of my head and just focus on making money and manifesting things and the law of attraction, um, then I began to be targeted, and that's when that became obvious. So I started to see more and more numbers, and I started to research them at this point because I realized that this is getting weird. I'm seeing these all the time, and I started to bump into videos, and I've seen other people, saying that they're angel numbers, and some people give um, they give meanings to these numbers and stuff. And there's lots of different meanings that lots of different people give to the same numbers. So there's not one particular meaning that, but in different, I guess, in different schools of thoughts about this, because I guess some people, this is to do with numerology as well. Some numbers are supposed to mean certain things, but in with most people, they just say, "Oh, this means this," and another person will say, "This means that." Okay, so as I said, I researched them. Most people saying it's angel numbers. My targeting was, became really extreme and in my face and whatever. So anyway, I've got my own theories of what I think is basically going on, and what I wanted to say is what I think is happening is the reason that we're seeing these numbers now is because we are at the end of time. So that's why we keep on seeing all these times and these numbers is because we're at the end of time. And I'm sure everybody's heard that, phrase, it's the end of times, the end of time. And then, we've got another one that everyone always says it's the end of days. So yes, it's the end of, you might have heard how people say, oh, weekdays, the days of the week. So it's like they say like you're in a daze. So it's like the end of the days, like the end of the it's like the end of the confusion. When you're in a daze, because we're actually under a spell right now. If you don't know that. And then the other thing as well is the Mayan calendar as well. So they were also like, when you think about the Mayans, just even that word Maya means illusion, and they were speaking about a particular time, which I'll touch on this later, but they were speaking about a particular time, which is 2012, where it would be the end of the Maya calendar, which basically, you can think of it like the end of the illusion. So it's all like the same thing, the end of time, end of days, end of illusion, because time in itself is an illusion. I believe that time is not real. I believe that they are frequencies. And when I woke up, I went through a period of time where I feel like time stopped. So there was a particular day where, you know, things were really kind of bizarre in the Matrix for me. Like I had like live digital things like speaking through, like, so what I mean is like the TV, they would be like relaying messages to me. I'd go onto I remember a clip on YouTube, and it was as if Oprah was speaking to me. I don't know why I was even watching her, but something came up and I clicked on it, and it was like she was talking to me. So I don't know if everybody else has noticed that as well, but it's like they relay messages through you to you using technology digitally. Okay, so yeah, so what I was saying before, I said I want to keep on jumping everywhere, is that yeah, I believe that time is frequencies, and that time when everything was really bizarre, and I was waking up. Obviously, I still didn't know what was going on to the extent that I know now, but like the TV was talking, like relaying messages very relevant to my life, like it knew, like it was like a message for me then. And that particular day, I remember basically the TV had been talking about something about going through some type of portal, and I'd also clicked on a lot of videos of some of the other people that I subscribed to, and all of a sudden everybody was talking about portals. It was really weird, and I, for somehow that day, I just know that there was a difference in time between me and the other people that were in the house with me. So what would happen is that day, I would be like, okay, like let's just say if I needed to go somewhere, somebody would be like, oh, can you go to the shop or something? And I'd be like, okay, yeah, I'll go in 5 minutes. So I would wait 5 minutes, and then they would be like, oh, you was ages, as if like my time and their time was different. And this happened for a little while, and it kept on happening, and I kept on noticing it as well. Um, so yeah, it was really strange, but I'm definitely telling you guys, I definitely noticed that difference in time, or but like I said, time is not real. So what it really was a difference in perception of time. So Yeah, so what I was saying is, I feel like there's no such thing as time outside of the matrix. So I feel like time is just something that we all agree on in our heads. You know, this is obvious anyway, because especially like in places like the US where they have different time zones, like so in one place it's this time, the other place it's that time. It can't be two times at the same time if it is that time, which means it's not that time, which means the time only exists in our heads and we just agree on it being that time. So I just feel like this is also true because of like sometimes when you dream. So say for example you go to sleep and you've only been asleep. There's certain times where you fall asleep and you sleep for a really long time, but you wake up and you feel like you haven't had any sleep, right? So it's as if like you've only just fell asleep a few minutes ago. So it's as if the time went really fast. But then there's other times when you had a 20-minute nap and then you was in that other place, in that other realm for what seemed like ages. And when you woke up, you felt like you was slept for ages and you can't believe that that was only 20 minutes. And that's because it's perception. And it's just like how um, well that's because there's no time outside of here, and it is just your perception. And it's also like how they say time flies when you're having fun. What times when I used to work long shifts, in boring call centers, um you would I would watch the time and it would just go so slow. Okay, so right now I can feel a speeding up of time. I don't know if anybody else can feel this. This is something that's actually talked about I in prophecy. So I'm going to stick something in a clip in here. This is regarding to the Hopi prophecy, where it talks about a time where we're accelerating to a time of no time, or something along those lines. The lady will be able to explain it a lot better. But I can feel it, guys. It's like every day is just blurring into the other days. The time is just going super, super fast. I also used to hear people talking about, oh, near the end of the world, the time's going to get faster. I don't know where that came from, if that was in any type of like religious book, or where why everyone was saying that, but I certainly feel that to be true. Um, but again, it's perception. Okay, when I'm saying this, it's all about perception. But yes, I do definitely feel it to be going faster. I'm definitely perceiving time to be flying past me. um, I don't feel like I'm able to do the amount of stuff that I was able to do before, in one day. I don't know if that is just due to the delays I'm having because of my targeting and things like that, or what the reason exactly would be for it. I'm not sure.
It is said that right now we're living in tiempo de no tiempo. It is time of no time. Time is dissolving. If you're aware that the day goes by faster, can't seem to get things completed in a day, you're more nervous, you feel the frequencies, so everything is speeding up. And there'll come a point when that will stop, when we reach that balance. So it's time of no time. There is a pyramid in the Yucatan called Mayopan. It is a pyramid site that doesn't get a lot of exposure, but it is very sacred to the indigenous nations. And in this pyramid, it's a very small pyramid, and it's in Chichen Itza, on the site of Chichen Itza. Um, and a lot of sacred work gets done there. Is this is imprinted on the wall like these angels are? Okay, so here is. I'm not a very good drawer. I'm not an artist. Uh, so on the wall, what you have is this is man, okay, and then on the wall you have a hole, okay. That's what you have. You have a hole in the wall that is like hollow and empty. On one side you have the eagle, and on the other side you have the condor. And in this prophecy that's in Mayopan in the Mayan nations, it says that this prophecy will not be fulfilled, where the eagle and the condor meet, till this hollow space is filled. Okay. So if we go down here, the Mayans believe that we're going into the fifth sun right now. We're going into the sixth sun, and they call them a how. The world age is a how, and they believe that we've already been through four. The one that we're presently living right now is water, and it's masculine. So you can see why we're coming to the end of the patriarch of the masculine, and we're moving to the fifth. It's going to be what they call ether, which is energy. So in essence, these elements will not have much importance anymore because we're moving to a new format, and it'll be energy. And in terms of this fifth sun that is coming, it's going to be masculine and feminine. Okay, so that's the difference, and it's going to be a world age of higher consciousness, and the balance of the light and the dark. So it won't be a world of duality of light and dark. It is also said as we're moving from the world of duality that it's going to be a little bit of a hard for a lot of us because it is said that we are actually wired. We're wired for duality. In prophecies, have three stages to them, and these three stages have happened every world age. Okay, so when a world age comes about, there is a world remaking. Okay, so there's always a remaking of a world, and then what happens is that they recenter the world. Okay, and recentering is movement, and then there's the renewal. And this has happened every time, and that's why I say if you really study these concepts, you really pretty much know what is coming for us in many ways. And the Mayan prophecy speaks to the feminine. In order to understand the prophecies, you need to pull out of linear time, and you need to understand galactic time, universal time, because the universe has time too. In terms of the universe, a galactic day is 25,625 days. And that's what we're coming to the end of. But the 7 Mayan prophecies that you hear about, the first one is fear. That as we move closer to 2012, that fear is going to escalate. But it'll also be projected a lot from outside sources. And we see it through the media. That's a perfect example. Fear is escalating in many different forms. When I do healing on people, I work with pulses, and the first thing that I go to is the pulses, because the pulses automatically tell me the fear. And that's, to me, that's the basis of when I work with people is fear. The second prophecy talks about that many psychological changes will come about in men. And in terms of psychological changes, is more anxiety, more stress. There's more mental illness than ever. There's more addictions than ever. Young people are more addicted than ever. People are taking more over-the-counter prescriptions, drugs for depression. A lot of psychological change that is really out of balance. The third one is the environment, and I don't think I need to really talk about that because we know what is happening with the environment. The fourth one talks about climatic changes that are coming, and I don't need to talk about that either. Number 5 is increased solar flaring. I'm kind of different, a very different type of indigenous woman. My friends laugh at me a lot because I have friends that work for NASA, and I follow the solar flaring of NASA. And it's interesting that it is increasing, the solar flaring. And here in San Miguel, about 2 years ago, the solar flaring was so intense. And it was May. May is the hottest month for us here. That all the machines shut down for about 3 hours. The ATMs went down. All the computers went down. Everything went down. And people panicked. So to me, it kind of gave me a little bit of a taste that if we do it at a bigger level, can you imagine? And then it took the banks about 2 days to get things straightened out, and we could not get money out. It is also said in the Mayan prophecies that there is a red comet coming. Red, I asked people about it. It could be red, nuclear war. We don't know. You know, red is nuclear. Or it could be a red comet. Comets that are in the sky, what they mean, it means change. There's a change coming. When Guadalupe appeared, the Helix comet appeared. The elders talk about that if it's a comet, that it's going to really impact the Earth. And if you've read that, we've had very near collisions, very near collisions. To me, the last prophecy is my favorite, and it's the hope prophecy, and that moves us to a new era. To where we will move to the balance that I'm talking about, higher frequency of spirituality. We'll be working more with energy, more in unity with brothers and sisters. Boundaries will dissolve. I won't be brown, you won't be white, and this is where the indigo children come in too. A new breed of children coming in.
To what I was saying before, I feel like there is no such thing as time outside of here. However, I do feel like there is cosmic time. So there is particular times when planetary events, so let's just call them moments rather than times, yeah? There's particular moments when planetary events are due to happen. And I feel like these events were known and marked by our ancestors who were into astronomy. So, not astrology, but astronomy. Okay. According to my research, and I feel this to be true as well, the timeline has been shifted. So, what's happened is right now, the Western world and most of the world is using the Gregorian calendar, but this isn't the time that we used to go by back in the day. And so, for example, if you go into Ethiopia now, um, they know that it's 2012. So if you check the date in Ethiopia, it'll actually, the year will be 2012. You feel like obviously there is going to be a planetary, major worldwide um, event that is going to cause everything to be disrupted, and eventually this is going to cause a lot of humans to go underground, because you can see there's a lot of underground buildings that's been like, underground bases already. So I'm not even talking about the bases where they're doing the weird stuff and experiments and cloning and aliens and stuff, but there's actually like underground, like places that have been built for people, habitable places for people to live, when something, in the event that something does happen. But what it is the government know that something is going to happen. So, and they know that this perhaps is likely to happen very soon, due to, and this is also why they're covering the sun, because it has something to do with the planet getting hotter, which is also why the need to kind of raise your vibration and be in alignment with nature is really important.
Time evolves and comes to a place where it renews again. There is first a purification time, then there is renewal time. We are getting very close to this time now. We were told that we would see America come and go. And in a sense, America is dying from within because they forgot the instructions on how to live on Earth. Everything is coming to a time where prophecy and man's inability to live on Earth in a spiritual way will come to a crossroad of great problems. It's the Hopi belief, it's our belief that if you're not spiritually connected to the Earth and understand the spiritual reality of how to live on Earth, it's likely you will not make it. The air is sacred. Our DNA is made of the same DNA as the tree. The tree breathes what we exhale. When the tree exhales, we need what the tree exhales. So we have a common destiny with the tree. We are all from the earth. And when the earth, the water, the atmosphere is corrupted, then it will create its own reaction. Mother is reacting. In the Hopi prophecy, they say the storms and floods will become greater. To me, it's not a negative thing to know that there will be great changes. It's not negative. It's evolution. When you look at it as evolution, it's time. Nothing stays the same.
This year it is 2020. That's the year, that's the symbolism that we've been given, that's the frequency that we've been given for this particular year, this time period that we're in. But it is, like I said, 2012, which means it is the time that the ancients prophesied that the great that the cycle would come to an end and a new cycle would begin. And like they said, that is always accompanied with lots of death and disaster as well. 2012, the date that they predicted would be the end of the cycle. They also predicted would be the return of Quetzalcoatl. I hope I'm not saying that wrong, but it's the Mayan god. And yeah, so, and it would also be the time of the soul harvest. So basically, I'm not sure really how to say this, but it seems like there's a lot of information out there insinuating that there was some type of mass abduction in the past. So, what I'm referring to is the actual disappearance of the Mayans as a whole as a civilization, and also the disappearance of other ancient civilizations as well, like the Atlanteans and also the Egyptians as well. So yeah, it's also interesting to note that Quetzalcoatl is the god of movement, and if you remember what that lady said from the clip, that it's always to do with movement as well, and obviously abduction is some type of movement. So what I'm trying to get at here is that it seems that at the end of every age, end of every cycle, um, a group of people um, go missing or disappear, and then like a new civilization will start up, and there will probably be some type of loss of information regarding to the old cycle. I'm going to go into deeper information about the return of Quetzalcoatl and the soul harvest at the end of time, and what that's got to do with like abduction, the rapture, and it's also involving CERN, the CERN portal, and the big great coming deception. But first of all, I need to go into the 1111 because and otherwise you're not really gonna get why I think that it's all connected. So the information about the soul harvest and the end of times and Quetzalcoatl and all of that will probably be in a second video, part two. So basically, what I think is the reason why I keep seeing these numbers is because it's the end of time, and I feel like the reason the 1111 is so popular, and the number 11 in general is that everyone's seeing, is because it does represent the fact that it is the end of the cycle and we are in 2012. Because if you add up the digits of the actual date, which is the 21st of the 12th, 2012, you actually get an 11. And then on top of it, like I said, I always see 22. I will always see 22, 22. And if you add up the 11, 11 and the 11, sorry, the four, the two ones on one side and then the other two ones on the other side, you're still going to get the 22. There's so many different ways that it just is all the same thing. Basically, I just feel like synchronicity is not a good thing if you check the etymology of the word. So you've got Sin and you've got Cronus. Okay, so Sin is the moon and Kronos is Saturn. So these are the two things that actually enslave and keep us here. I mean, to me, the moon is the beast, man, and Saturn is the beast. So I don't know what more like um, I don't know why that would be good. I just don't know why that would be good. And then on top of it, yeah, um, I don't know if you've seen the film Us, but just the film Us. First of all, let me just real quickly break it down, just in case you haven't seen it. It's about kind of like cloned people who pretend to be other people, which is kind of like what I feel is kind of half going on a little bit to do with like the whole gang stalking, family members like being weird and stuff. It's not like it's not really them. Like, it's like that same sort of story where there's a double of other people's like doppelganger kind of thing. And right before those people arrived and things started turning weird, there started to be synchronicities. That's exactly what she noticed. And the time also said 11:11, and as soon as the time said 11:11, she knew that the weird shit was starting. Okay, so I'm going to be playing you a little clip, and before I play the little clip, I just want to let you know, guys, that like for real, this is exactly how I felt as well.
I've never posted a video before. I'm here to talk about the 11:11 time prompt phenomenon that's been going on for quite some time. I started seeing the numbers about 10 years ago. It'll be about 10 years in June. It was really annoying at first, and I thought it was just, mere chance. But then it started to go the 222, 333, 444, and from the information that I was, looking up online at the time, it was talking about, that it was angel numbers and that, you're a light worker and you have a divine purpose and all of that. I believe that, okay, and I followed the numbers, based on, the information that I found online of what the 111 means, the 222 means, the 333 means. And I thought that that was, guidance from spirit guides. And, I followed these numbers. And these are not divine numbers. I was trying to pick my life up. And these numbers, don't think that they're angel numbers like what you're gonna see. Okay, a lot of people are getting into like, Doreen Virtue and all that, and I did that too. But this is demonic stuff. I don't want to use that word. People, online, don't call them, demons. They want to call them, lower energies or entities. But for like the past year straight now, I've been basically quarantined in my home. I have had a lot of pain inflicted on me from these entities. And I mean, I've watched some of the videos online, and, do your research. You don't have to believe me, but I'm just giving you another perspective, if you think that these are divine guidance, because I thought that it was, and things were going well for a while, and the numbers seemed to be, they followed along for a while, but then it turned nasty, about 6 years ago. Target you, they'll flick these numbers at you. They will pose and show themselves, as angelic beings. They may even give you a false sense of love. And I seriously really thought that I was being loved by an angel. It was just a man with a flashlight, and it was just a game, it was just a hoax. And these entities have the ability to make you feel warm and loved, but then they will flip on you so fast. Today, I was going to commit suicide. I've tried to commit suicide so many times that I can't die. And I seriously believe, because I'm now beginning to see all the past lives I've had, and that I've been living in a spiral on a repeating the same life over and over again, and that there's alternate versions of me, and I've seen the way that this has gone down. I don't know if I'm dead. I've thought about it for the past year. I've been thinking that, and there have been a lot of walk-ins, where they enter other people's bodies, and they'll you know that it's not the original person talking because of the way they're talking, and then it'll go back to the original person. Some people call these, like walk-ins or shapeshifters or changelings. I think I'm dead, and I think that this is hell. I just don't think that any of us can see it. I think that we're all being trapped and hoaxed. I'm sure this video will be probably plugged or pulled, but just be careful and do your research. And everybody is drifting away from me, now that I've woken up, and I'm starting to see that. And maybe a lot of people, when they're on that awakening path, they think it's a beautiful path, and that's what I seriously thought it was for the first couple of years. I thought I was going through this beautiful awakening, and then it just went south so bad.
So I feel like either the technology that we have access to, so things like our mobile phones, or technology that is unseen to the general public, is either being programmed by the people that created it, by the beings that created it, or being hijacked by other entities, and it's interacting with the nanotechnology that we have, that we've been breathing in, with the chemtrails that's in the air and the food that we eat, and it's interacting, the signal that they're sending us, the frequency that they're sending us, is interacting with the technology inside our body, and that's what's actually making us look at these times. So basically, look at these frequencies and pick up these frequencies. Yeah, so some type of entity is sending a signal to you, and we're picking it up via the technology inside of our body, and thinking it's our own actions and our own thoughts, and looking at the time, and then, probably drawing up false conclusions in our head that this is all magical and mystical and divine. Another thing to mention is that numbers carry a vibration, so they could also be trying to make you vibrate at a certain level, at a certain frequency, at a certain vibration, and also they, as well as the numbers carrying a vibration, it could also just be used to sensitize you to particular numbers as well. Like I said, to either condition you to think positive thoughts, or maybe if you go down the road that I think, which is basically negative associations with the numbers. But really and truly, I just try not think about the numbers and just take a neutral stance, even though, with everything that I can see and like I'm presenting here in this video, it does seem rather demonic. So, guys, it's mind control. I mean, really and truly, there's so much better things that we could all be doing at the same time than looking at the time. And I feel like the people that told us that they're angel numbers know that they're fallen angel numbers, and that we shouldn't be following these numbers. We shouldn't be chasing them. They make videos, they make films about this, like, number 23. And there's another film as well. There's quite a few films, and I mean, there's this other girl, what's her name, Taylor Swift, how she's always talking about the number, blah, blah, blah. And I mean, I'm not saying that there's no significance in numbers, and that numbers don't have a deep meaning, and, I'm not saying that, but I'm just trying to say I don't really think that God or your angels is sending you numbers to your phone. I just don't think that things work like that, guys. So maybe I'm just different, but I'm not going to go with the information that's out there, because I feel like whenever information is just out there for you, it's been it's out there for you for a reason. I feel like you need, like, what for us to get to the bottom of what's going on. We're not just gonna just go somewhere and find the information. You have to put it together for yourself. Anyway, is I feel like I am definitely being controlled, and they've programmed me to the number 22. Because this is the time I wake up. This is the time I see the 22 of every single hour, and I see like 17, 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20, 20. I see all of that. I don't really see the 9/11 that much anymore. I do still see the 11/11. Yeah, but 22 is the main one that is really invading my life. And I know that it's because I am always near the technology, because that is where I am seeing these numbers, okay? Because it's a digital thing. No one was really talking about it. I don't really think like people were noticing this when we kind of had like the traditional clocks with the numbers and the hands, and no one's really like, oh, well, maybe they were like, oh, it's always the same time when they look at it. I don't know. I doubt it though, and I feel like the programming has become more apparent because of the digital age that we're in at the moment, and all of this technology and AI, we're being programmed. It's mind control. So there's an article that I want to read out, which I think was absolutely like really interesting, because this is exactly what I thought. Again, and this is why I personally don't just go out and just listen to other people and what they think and what they what's it called, because really and truly it's my own thoughts that have led me to where I am now. That I can see exactly what's going on in my life, and I can see exactly where I am now. And I feel like if I had listened to everybody, then I would still be in the dark, and I'd still have perps pretending to be friends, and I wouldn't even know. But it's because I've actually listened to my own thoughts and my own feelings that I've actually even managed to get to where I am now. Okay, so this article is by zersetsung.org, and the title is Mind Control 401, the 1111 phenomenon explained in terms of MK Ultra neurotechnology. So, people with the mind control neurotechnology in their brains can be made to act out evoked actions in many ways, including involuntary looking over at the clock and noticing specific patterns of numbers. These events are almost certainly pre-programmed and evoked by remote computer systems. The function of the brain implants is analog, analogous, sorry, I can't say that word, to that of the consumer smartphone, only much more advanced. Behavioral conditioning techniques can then be used to associate certain number patterns to specific meanings in the mind of the subject slash target. A few examples include 9/11, which would be an emergency, 119, positive association, reversal of 9/11, 123, positive association moving forward, 321, negative association moving backwards, the reverse of 123, 411, positive association, 411, positive association information, 114, negative association concealment, reversal of 411, 1111, widely reported positive spiritual themed brainwashing, 1234, an alternative to 1111 or 123. So, for a number of years now, large numbers of people have been discussing this 1111 phenomenon on their websites and blogs. And the simple fact of the matter, however, is that this so called spiritual phenomenon is simply a combination of advanced mind control, neurotechnology, and classic behavioral conditioning techniques. It says the meaning of the 1111 time prompts. Those who are prompting you are planetary helpers, secondary midwayers, or lower angels. They are opportunists. They will vary numbers to make you realize you are dealing with incredible intelligence, and they would like you to live a more spiritual life. Yeah, so you get the point, guys. This is also pretty much saying what I was saying as well, which is that this numbers have something to do with the mind control program that's going on, especially with us targets. And just like that other lady said in the clip as well, she said exactly what I sort of said as well. At first, you thought it was all great and, having a spiritual awakening. And then, then everything changed and it just turned sour. Future, the plan is to enslave us by technology. It's not even in the future. This is now. This is happening right now. We are being enslaved by technology, guys. We are, nature is real. Technology is man-made. I don't believe God is sending us numbers to your phone. I mean, take a look at double numbers. I mean, when you've got these repeating numbers, you've got 666. I mean, there's a reason why that is a repeating number. Then, another one that everyone all of a sudden is trying to throw out there, like like they know it means something positive. And I'm all for like turning something negative into a positive, but I'm not about to start like that's like me going around like you know wearing an upside down cross saying, oh, I decided it's positive now. Like there's no need to do that. So I'm just saying, like, with things like the number 777, I don't know like what kind of research everybody else does, but I know that Michael Jackson, whether he was consciously aware or not, but he had many, many personalities within him, and he was deeply into the occult. And what we see of Michael Jackson is not necessarily who Michael Jackson was. So I've done my research on Michael Jackson. I know that Michael Jackson is a big occultist. All right. So the same with Aleister Crowley. Okay. So I just wanted to say that yes, 777 is a very seems to be one of the most favorite numbers of Aleister Crowley and Michael Jackson as well, who, if you don't know, was the king of pop. For you to get that title, I'm sorry, guys. It wasn't just a normal thing, okay? I'm not trying to discredit Michael Jackson, trying to say he didn't have talent. Okay, so did anybody else notice that pattern of repeating numbers and also the pattern of demonic people as well? Is another clip of another guy. His name is Rick Clay. I believe he was from the UK as well, and he's passed away now, so rest in peace. But he was before he passed away. Which I will just add this information out there under suspicious circumstances. He was researching, certain things, the number 1111 in particular being one of them. And he was also, this was years, and I remember when he came out with this information, I was actually listening to this then, but I never had seen the number 1111. It wasn't significant in my life, so it didn't mean anything to me. So I'm feeling like he caught on to this before it's become a thing. And I don't know if that's anything to do with what happened to him. I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to speak about things I don't know like that. And that he feels that it's been hijacked by entities as well.
Following that, I started getting these weird occurrences with the number 1111. I don't know if do you know, have you looked into much with the 1111 yourself? Do you know about it?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, to set the groundwork for where I'm coming from, obviously I've got a few like facts here that I'd just like to say, because obviously it's the basis for a lot of my work.
Yeah, sure.
And obviously this number, this 1111 is it seems to work itself into a lot of things. I mean, predominantly the first thing is the universe itself, and obviously on the 11th of August 1999 at 11:11 a.m. there was a total solar eclipse that was observed through Europe. And if you move that further on the end date, December 21st, 2012, the end date of the main calendar, the winter solstice, which is when the calendar ends, is at 11:11 a.m.
So I've heard,
obviously, so we've got this effect where the universe is ringing these numbers at us, in accordance to consciousness and stuff.
Yeah.
And when you look at it in an astrological sense, with the precession of the equinoxes and the 26,000-year cycle of the Earth wobbling through the 12 signs of the zodiac, we're said to be moving into the new age of Aquarius, and Aquarius is the 11th astrological sign. And so, getting further into it, you look at the numbers of 2112, 2012, and you add all those numbers up, and you get an 11. And then you look into the sun, for instance, and the sunspot cycles, so 11 years. And basically everything that you can just keep finding these 11s out of things. And you could argue that, are you looking for them? But basically, when it's that amount of things within the universe, it's not like I'm looking for them because they are there.
Yeah.
You can't deny that. And so then you start moving into the numerology of it. And for instance, if you get 1111 and you multiply it by 1111, you get the number 1234321, which is a pyramid. Okay, so you've got a pyramid numerology that you can get out of the 1111.
Backtrack on that a little bit and take it a little bit slower for us again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you've got the time code 1111 and you multiply it by the same thing, so 1111 times 1111, you get the number 1234321.
Okay.
So if you imagine that as a visual, you've got a pyramid.
So one step up, that's number 1. Then we have 2, that's 2 steps up. Is that what you're going at here?
Yeah. So essentially, because you've got the 1234321, if you would plot that on a graph,
right,
on an X and a Y, you'd have a pyramid.
Interesting.
So and the same decreases. So if you've got 111, you times it by 111, you get 12321. You get a pyramid, whichever way you look at it. Anything with a base of 1.
Interesting.
And so then, if you look at the 11 itself, and in binary, an 11 stands for a 3. So obviously you've got a trinity out of it. Do you know what I mean? So if you were to convert it to binary, it would mean it'd be 3. So essentially, then if you look at this idea of the trinity with it, you know 33rd degree Masons the 33 that goes around. Obviously, if you turn that into the trinity and you divide 33 by 3, you get 11.
That's interesting.
So you start seeing these 11s, as I'm saying. So then you move on to recent events, and you get to September the 11th, 2001, right? And you realise that the building was stood like an 11. The 2 towers stood like an 11.
Indeed.
And then you've got 9/11, which is 9 plus 1 plus 1, which is 11. And then you realise that September the 11th was 111 days until the end of the year. And then you start thinking about the first plane that hit the World Trade Center, and it was Flight 11.
There you go, yeah.
Right, and the total number of crew on Flight 11 was 11. And then you look into it further, and the New York State was the 11th state of the US Constitution. Right, and so then you start thinking about where September the 11th stands in as far as years are concerned. And September the 11th, 2001 stands 11 years from 2012. Right. And there's an author called Jose Arguelles. He wrote that from 1992 to 2012 would be in a period of May and no time, the time of no time, which was a transition of the ages kind of period in which, basically world disasters and tension would be on the up and rise constantly. And this period of no time was 1992 to 2012. And so 9/11 in September the 11th, 2001, was 9 years from the start of no time, 11 years till the end of no time. So, synchronistically, it was placed bang on where, it should have been. So then you start thinking about, was 9/11 an event that was either, was it, as Jose Arguelles would put it, was it an inevitable event? Inevitable event. Was it designed by the universe for it to happen as it did? You look into it further, and World Trade Center commenced building in 1966 and finished building it in 1977. So it took 11 years to create as well. So you can move on from that, forget all that for the time being, and then you can get to September the 11th in history. And on September the 11th, 1990, at 9:09 p.m., that's 11 years prior to 9/11, George Bush Sr. made his very first speech entitled "Towards a New World Order" in the UN, at the UN. So this was 11 years prior. And then if you take that back 60 years, so you go back to September the 11th, 1941, you'll realise that 60 years to 9/11, that was when the soil was broken for the Pentagon.
Pentagon, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And so you've got this date, September the 11th, again running through this kind of, the nasty war machine of America, if you want to call it that.
Exactly.
And so then basically, there's something that happened much further back in time than that. And there's a book written in 1981, and it was called The Birth of Christ Recalculated. And it was written by a guy called Ernest L. Martin. And he claims to have calculated the exact date of Jesus Christ's birthday based on celestial charts for that era.
Yeah.
Basically, he's worked out with the famous Star of Bethlehem, which was, he worked out that essentially Jesus Christ was born on September the 11th, 3 BC. And this book was released in 1981.
Mm-hmm.
So, we've got another date there. And
I think that is, sorry to interrupt there, but I think that's actually a key area to why we potentially are seeing so many things oriented around the 9 and the 11 September.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, when it comes into other significant events, for instance, when you think about America and NASA and stuff, the very first shuttle that got to the moon was Apollo 11.
Yeah, there you go.
And then, for instance, in Great Britain, I'm sure I think it's celebrated around the world actually, but on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, we celebrate Remembrance Day, in which we honour our war dead, but it's on an 11/11, and it's basically the Queen and a load of other people taking poppies to a cenotaph, which is an obelisk essentially.
Yeah.
So little strange events going on all over the place.
Indeed.
I mean, talking about the Queen moving into royalty, and this is where I'll lead much deeper into royalty later on. But basically, if you look into the history of the word crown and the royal crown. The word crown was derived from Anglo-French word called caroon, which is derived from Latin for corona. But the year that the word crown, was first established was in the year 1111.
Huh, really? That's interesting.
Right. So,
wow.
You can't just say that these are coincidences. All of these things that are kind of connected up. And I get to a point where, at first I thought there were coincidences, but then you think, what is this thing called chance?
Yeah.
What is it?
Indeed.
So anyhow, that's the groundwork for 11. And then this is where I'd started seeing this time code 1111 on clocks and stuff. And this is when I started getting this flood of information. I don't know where I've been receiving it from, but I've been receiving it from somewhere recently. I don't know what it's all about, to be honest. But basically, the thing with all the 11s for me is essentially, I come from the viewpoint, I believe in a mind before matter universe.
Yeah.
Everything stems from consciousness. Consciousness precipitates matter, not the other way around, as scientists would have you believe it.
Yeah.
Given the 11s, connected with the Pentagon and connected with the 9/11, World Trade Center disaster and everything. That to me is indicative of someone else trying to hijack consciousness. I don't know what it is, but for me, there seems to be some kind of other side of things that are hijacking this number for themselves.
Okay, so this is just a quick conclusion of my thoughts. So just in case you weren't able to see the connection in the video, I think that we're seeing these digits, these times, these frequencies, because we are approaching the end of time, which is this year. And I feel like the beings that kind of run this matrix, they know this, and they want to confuse us, which is why they introduced an artificial timeline and have most of us thinking that we're actually in the year 2020 when we're actually in the year 2012. But yes, 2020 is also the frequency of clear vision as well. So we should be able to, those of us that are awake, we should be able to see clearly this year as to what is going on. Also, it does tie in as well, I feel definitely with, well, it does definitely with the whole Jesus and Quetzalcoatl, but I can't get into that in the last couple of minutes of this video. So I will definitely be making a part 2 about that and the coming rapture deception, because this is all part of it, I feel. But yes, yeah, guys, I'm not following numbers. I'm just gonna follow my intuition, and I think that's probably what everyone else should do as well. But obviously, you just make up your own mind. If anybody else has anything, to say about anything that I said here, let me know, or any information that could be useful about this, because the numbers is literally every single time I look at my phone or something, I see these numbers. It's annoying. And I actually, like, sometimes it's to the point where I think, like, am I almost controlling the time? If I don't look at it, will it not change? Like, it's very, very weird. Yeah, so yeah, guys, thanks for listening.